Hi, today we are going to take your productivity to the next level. We are processing your InList. In the last two videos, we helped you to declutter your mind and your physical environment. Now remember, we asked you to dump all the ideas, uncompleted projects, and thoughts and emails and inputs and stuff from your mind into the paper or electronic format. And we did the same for your environment as well. And we ask you to declutter your environment and come up with an inbox, a tray, or a box of things that you need to do. Uncompleted projects, tasks, ideas, stuff. What we didn't cover is replacing big physical items. Now here's an example. Let's say you have this uncompleted task, like to sort out a bunch of paperwork, and you have a lot of papers, right? Instead of bringing and putting 3 cubic meters of paper in this tray, you create a reference and you say process paperwork, pile on my desk. And you use this as a reference. So your tray must be tiny little tray, or if you have never gone through this process, it could be much bigger than this tray. Now, once you go through this it'll be much smaller. Now, let's have a look at this process. Now, we're going to go over and explain it into the details. It's very simple, and you're going to get a PDF version as well with instructions, so you can download and go over again, and you'll be excited. So let's go over this process right now and put it into perspective. How do you use this algorithm, this process to take it to the next level? That's what David Allen recommends. Understand this. Dozens or hundreds of thousands of people used this process and it worked for them. It took their productivity to the next level. Now, let's take a practical example. Let's take this tray and start going over my items here. Now, the way it works is I'm going to pick up one item and you're going to assess it. Now, you're going to look at the first decision. Remember, the diamonds are decisions. Yes or no. Now, let's have a look at my item here, which is a volleyball draw. And first of all, I decided to stop playing volleyball. And this quarter, I'm not playing volleyball. So what does this say? It says, can you action it? Well, not really. I decided that I stopped playing volleyball for now, so I can't action it. So we go and go into this part of the diagram. So I can't action it. Now you have 3 choices. If you can't action it, 3 choices. Choice number 1, to trash it. My favorite. Then you can also incubate and reference, but in this case, I can trash it. I don't need it anymore. It's useless. And this is my favorite way of handling things from the basket. Boom, in the trash, straight away. The more things you can put in there, the better. Off your mind, off your list. Wonderful. Remember, Brian Tracy said it well. He said, you'll never have enough time for everything in your life. You have so many ideas, so many great thoughts, you will never ever have enough time. But you will always have enough time for the most important things. So the more things you can trash, the better. Evaluate it rigorously and really decide if you really need it. And trash as much as you can. The best advice ever. Now, if we continue going through my list, I find some papers from conveyancing services. When we sold our house, one of our houses in the past, we received an important legal paper. So in this case, we go over the same process and we say, can we action it? No, there is nothing to action. So we go here again, can I trash it? No way, I want to keep it. It might be useful in the future. So what I do is I incubate it. And the way you incubate is you can create a file, if it's a physical storage, if it's not electronic, you create a file or a box and you start checking things in there, incubating. Something like your maybe list or someday list, something you might still need, and you put it in there. It's as simple as it gets. And you can refer to this list later. And if you use an application, you can take a photo and scan it and just log it in your application in a category. It's up to you. Now, another example could be referencing something. Let's say that you have a workout plan from your fitness coach, and every now and again you want to brush up and look at how to do exercises, you can then create another file or another system, physical, like a drawer or something that you can use to reference your material that you will need in the future. So again, on this part of the diagram, you can see non-actionable items. Trash it, incubate it, or reference it. The more things end up on this side, the better, because they're off your list, because everything on the left here is actionable. Everything on the left you need to switch to at some point. And remember, the goal of this exercise is not do everything as you go through and you spend 1 or 2 hours or even more. The goal is to classify everything, okay? The more things end up here, the better it is for you and for your future. Now, let's take another example. Let's take an item. Let's say that when you went through the exercise of dumping everything from your mind into the paper, you created this reminder to send a picture of your cat to your grandma. And then you say, can I action it? Yeah, you can. So the next step is determine the next action. It can't be just a word saying cat picture. So the next action must be visible and must be physical. You must know how to do it. So you say, instead of having the word cat picture, you just say send the picture to grandma or something like that. And then you evaluate it. Once you know what the action is, you evaluate it. And if it takes less than 2 minutes, yes, you do it. Now, what is the reason for doing it? In this case, the reason is to save time. Because the amount of time to go through the process and log it somewhere, which we'll discuss in a few minutes, and log it somewhere else, the amount of overhead is too much. It's just easier to do it now. Just take the picture and email it to your grandma. Done. Gone from your list. Easy. Now, let's continue with the example. Let's say the next one says car service. 3 weeks ago, you received a reminder from your car service company, from your department, that you need to do a service. It's due. And it's been on your mind, and it's been bothering you all the time, and until you went through this, and then when you went through this exercise of dumping these things from your mind into the paper, you relaxed. And now you're going over this process and you're deciding what to do about it. Now, is it actionable? Of course. Determine the next action. Once again, it can't just say car service. No way. You're going to say, what's the next action? Brilliant question. What's the next action? The next action, call the service department and write down the number of the department. Now, can you do it in less than 2 minutes? Well, maybe, but it could be Sunday or Saturday. Let's say it's a Saturday or Sunday and you can't. Right? You can't call right now. Then you go to the next level and you evaluate and you ask yourself the next question. Is it a multi-step process? Is it something complicated? Or is it something simple? In this case, it's something simple, just making a call. So you go to the next level, not multi-step, and then another decision. Can I delegate? In your case, potentially you can. Let's say you can delegate to your partner or to your virtual assistant. And say, yes, I can delegate, and you delegate it. How do you delegate? The easiest way is to dump it into their in list. Just take the physical thing and carry it over and give it to them and say, you handle it. If you do that, you also may want to create an action. You need to create a list called waiting for. Depending on the importance of the task that you delegate, you need to follow up later, because what happens when you delegate, it's off your list, but you still need it. So you need to check, you need to follow up, and you create a list, a bunch of things that you need to check later on, and you add it there. If it's time sensitive, you can even put it on your calendar to follow up and to check if it has been done. Because the more tasks you delegate, the more critical tasks you will have, and the more tasks you'll have to check and follow up on. So this is one choice. But let's say that you can't delegate and you have to do it by yourself. Now again, because it's more than 2 minutes, you're not going to action it straight away, and you go to this part and you defer it. Now what are your choices? Once you get here, you have 2 choices. Choice number 1, you need to create another list. Just take a piece of paper and write down a header, next actions. and add it to your list of next actions. Because by the time you get to processing these items, you will have a bunch of actions, and then you can prioritize and you can focus on different things. We will learn these techniques later. For now, your idea as you go through this process is to come up with a bunch of next physical and visible actions. So call the department and the number. Okay, this is one option. If it's time sensitive, you can put it on the calendar. If you use a physical calendar, just write it down. If you use an application, then just add it to your Android or iPhone calendar. So two options here. But the idea is if it's actionable, it ends up in your next actions list or on your calendar. Simple. Now let's take another example. Here it says marketing campaign. Let's say that you need to create a new marketing campaign. Is it actionable? Should it be actioned? Yes. So you go here and what's the next step? Determine the next action. Now, even though this is a big thing, you still need to put the next action on it. And in your case, it could be choose a marketing topic. Make sure the topic is hot. Choose a hot topic, something that will interest my target audience. So this is the first action in the whole process here. So you write it down and you evaluate it again. Less than 2 minutes, no way. It's going to take a lot of time to roll out a new marketing campaign properly. So you go here, and here another question. Multi-step? And in this case, it is multi-step. There are too many actions here. So instead of logging it in your action systems or delegating it, you add it to a list of projects. Again, it could be a category in your application, or it could be a folder, whatever works for you. But you log it as a project. Now, what is a project? A project is anything, according to David Allen, the project is anything that takes more than one action. Could be a big marketing campaign, could be something simpler, but still requiring multiple actions. And you check it in there, and you continue the process. We've covered every single part of the process. It's so easy. Now see, once it gets empty, magic things happen. Now let's take a step back and look at what we have just done. If you think about it, first of all, we clearly separated what's actionable and what's not. And we dumped a lot of stuff into the non-actionable world. We logged it and we forgot about it. Clearing your mind completely. The more you can check into this side, the better. Be rigorous. Just really think, do you really need to action it? Or can it end up on this side? The more stuff here, the better it is for you. The more productive you are, the more time you can spend on things that really matter. Now, and if you look at this part, what happened here is we classified everything that's actionable, we put into their own buckets. Think about it. Small, tiny actions, like calling a service department, are now clearly separated from big projects. It's not a mix of big and small things. It's not a mix of uncompleted projects and little tiny actions. You delegated as well. So you delegated, you logged big things, you logged small things, you made it time sensitive, everything. And you actioned it if it's less than 2 minutes. Can you see how you clearly separated and classified them into different departments, if you like? And this creates a lot of clarity in your mind. A lot of clarity. Now think about it. Let's take big projects. You ended up with a bunch of big things to do. What can you do? Now you can go over this list and be true and be honest with yourself and say, you know what? This project, not really important. You can remember Brian Tracy saying, you'll never have enough time for everything. You look at the project and say, look, I have these 3. They're much more important. They'll take the whole quarter, and by the time I'm there, I don't really need this one. Boom! Into the trash straight away. At this level. How amazing is that? You can use trash all the time. And then as you evaluate, as you go through this process, everything ends up in their own places. Now, it gives you so much clarity and freedom, it's hard to describe. Go through this process. Don't try to make it perfect. Now, you can mix and match. You can start with just simple folders, just piles, and you can use an application for some of them, physical stuff for like real trash for others. You can mix and match, because until you try, you won't find a perfect system. Everyone is different. When I work with business owners, and you know, applications work for some people, physical files work for other people. You know, we are different. You need to build your own system, but this system gives you an idea, gives you the process, and you can follow the process and completely declutter your mind and get to the full state of clarity. And later on, we're going to show you how to prioritize, how to focus on what matters, and we will take it to the next level later on. But for now, your main goal is to make sure that every single item from your tray ends up where it should be. And the more stuff here, the better. Now, I hope it was useful. And if you do this, and by the way, you use this system all the time, as new ideas come to your mind, and they constantly do, you keep checking them into your tray. Once you go over the process once, your tray is empty. And then every single time you have an idea, you don't have time, normally, you don't have time to action it when it comes. But just log it. Write it down on the paper, log it, you will have it. Or use an application. Once you log it, your mind is free. Again, not going to your mind, an idea goes and gets logged. And later on, yes, it might end up in the trash if you don't really like it later on, if you cool down. Or it might become your #1 project because it's such a great idea, but you will not forget about it because you dump it in the tray and you continue going through this process every single week. And it works like a charm. It helps you to focus on what matters and still log and register what you will need in the future. How amazing is that? Now, here's Roman Karbitsin. I'm excited to take you to the next level of productivity. Thanks for watching.